Gökberk, Demirci and Özge Yağız just sent shockwaves through the industry, and you could feel the jolt all the way from Istanbul to Los Angeles. Fans are ecstatic, rivals are grinding their teeth, and the mood in showbiz is more electric than it's been in years. Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars, where we follow every heartbeat of this story. Before we dive into the whirlwind, make sure you're subscribed and ready, because what's unfolding around this couple isn't just another headline. It's a turning point that's changing the conversation about Turkish talent on the global stage. The spark that lit this blaze? An achievement that nobody can ignore. After months of building momentum across Europe and surprising even seasoned industry watchers, Gökberk burst onto IMDb's top 500 talents list with a stunning leap, climbing high enough to send a message to every casting director watching. When the final update landed and he was spotted sitting around the 117th mark, the fandom erupted. Özge, meanwhile, surged alongside him with a wave of interest that made it clear this wasn't a solo sprint, it was a duet catching fire at the perfect time. Within hours, feeds were flooded with edits, celebratory videos, and breathless posts predicting the next big step, Hollywood. It didn't come out of nowhere. For years, the duo cultivated their audience through sincerity and intensity, brick by brick. Gökberk honed a brooding charisma that thrives in roles demanding quiet steel and smoldering restraint. Özge brought luminous nuance to every emotional beat, a brightness that somehow makes even pain photogenic. Their chemistry was forged under studio lights and strengthened through shared discipline. Punishing schedules, endless script work, and an insistence on doing things the right way even when the cameras stopped rolling. Together, they built something that fans could believe in, the rare blend of star power and authenticity. Europe noticed first. Festival carpets, photo calls, and fan meetings turned into scenes of pure adoration. The pair drew crowds in cities that had never hosted such a pull for Turkish drama before. Clips from their projects spread in multiple languages, becoming little windows into another world, and it was impossible not to be drawn into the story of two actors whose performances seemed to echo off one another. Their earlier collaboration brought them to the attention of viewers who craved romance with real stakes. Later, their separate projects raised their profile again. Gökberk's grounded intensity in a family drama struck a nerve, while Özge's layered turns in heartfelt series kept pulling new audiences close. Between them, they covered the spectrum, grit and grace, fire and light. That's where the strategy began. Neither of them wanted to be stuck in the familiar. Away from the red carpets and lighting rigs, they quietly began preparing for a bigger leap. There were whispers of language coaching, of late-night readings with English scripts, of meetings where their names were spoken in rooms far beyond the Bosphorus. Someone close to a production company in Rome hinted that a period adventure was on their radar, the kind that lets a hero test his limits against wild landscapes and lets a heroine prove she isn't just a love interest but the fiercest mind in the room. There was also talk of a tense historical thriller built around codes, whispers, and shadows, the sort of story where every glance means danger, and every silent promise could change a nation. What followed felt like destiny aligning with discipline. The week the IMDb jump hit, you could feel the tone online mutate from loyal appreciation to stunned triumph. When the ranking spread a clear badge that the rest of the world was finally looking, celebrations exploded. Fans didn't just post congratulations, they curated montages, wrote open letters, and translated interviews into multiple languages. Accounts that followed Turkish drama casually were suddenly deep diving into the couple's past scenes, trying to understand how two performers managed to turn their on-screen and off-screen connection into a brand of stardom that felt both intimate and indomitable. Naturally, the reaction wasn't all applause. Inside the industry, envy didn't whisper, it hissed. Some colleagues wondered aloud what their rise would mean for similar profiles vying for the same roles. Was there enough room at the top? Was the international focus a temporary trend or a true pivot? You could almost hear the frantic calls, managers adjusting strategies, agents pushing for script reads their clients had ignored, casting directors recalibrating lists to avoid being the last to catch on. The duo's ascent didn't just raise a flag for Turkish stars. It raised the stakes for everyone. On set, however, the energy around them was strangely calm, as if the turbulence outside only reinforced their commitment to the work. Crews share the best secrets, and here's what the crews keep saying: long nights, high standards, and a level of professionalism that turns chaos into a symphony. Co-stars have remarked how the pair never fumbles a cue and never lets ego stand between the scene and the truth. Of course, there were rumors. This is showbiz, after all, of tense moments with performers who didn't enjoy being outshone. A sidelong comment here, a chilly silence there. But none of it stuck for long, because power moves quietly when it knows where it's going, and these two knew. Then came the murmurs that lit up the tabloids. An American producer had made an approach. No official announcement, no posted schedule, just the soft glide of a rumor sliding into every chat and group feed. What kind of role? A story about love standing firm under a foreign sky? Or a game of masks and messages, played out under Ottoman moons and Western neon? The mystery only amplified the thrill. News sites feasted on it, framing reality like a movie trailer. Headlines blared about doors opening and deals near the finish line. Traffic soared. And with each update, international curiosity ticked upward, because an IMDb banner isn't just a number, it's a signal that attention is justified. The fans, though. Oh, the fans, they are the engine behind this entire phenomenon. This community doesn't merely react, it mobilizes. The moment the rankings shifted, fan groups prepared multilingual video tributes that could have been professional teasers. Editors spliced tender behind-the-scenes glances with thunderous scenes of conflict, scoring them with music that made every beat feel like a promise fulfilled. Others started campaigns urging networks to pair the couple in a high-octane project shot in multiple countries. They tagged entertainment reporters, messaged streaming platforms, and sent long-form analyses that would put a PR team to shame. When a fandom believes in a story, it can bend the path of that story, and that's exactly what's happening now. What makes this chapter resonate is the sense that the couple understands the moment. They aren't racing to cash in. They're curating, weighing, deciding. Prestige matters. They've learned the difference between heat and light. Attention is hot, but legacy is luminous. You can see that perspective in the choices they've been drifting toward, roles that require them to grow, scripts that trust the audience to feel rather than be told, collaborations that export Turkish talent without sanding off its soul. Each new whisper suggests a widening network. Stylists in Paris, coaches in London, cinematographers in Budapest, teams in Madrid scouting locations unsullied by the obvious. And still, they carry the Turkish heartbeat: family, loyalty, resilience. Insiders describe a ritual that shows up whenever a production begins, a quiet moment, a shared look, a silent pact to protect each other through the grind. It's the kind of private detail that becomes legend, the tale older fans will pass down to newcomers in the comment sections for years. That bond is why viewers root for them not just as actors, but as a pair navigating storms together, choosing to rise without leaving the other behind. Meanwhile, conversations in casting suites have shifted. Where once the question was whether Turkish performers could anchor ambitious international projects, now the question is how quickly deals can be structured to catch this wave. The period adventure concept lingers in the air, gleaming with the promise of sun-baked horizons and heart-in-mouth duels. The covert thriller keeps 3 time zones awake at night, the thought of secret messages hidden beneath velvet and steel too delicious to resist. Imagine him as the unflinching protector with a haunted past, imagine her as the strategist whose smile hides 100 winning moves. Together, they're not repeating old formulas, they're daring producers to think bigger. That daring pays off online. Every new photo becomes a moment. Every press snippet gets dissected for clues. Editors of entertainment sites confess that any story with their names in the headline performs above budget, pulling readers from markets that never used to interact. You can feel the market correction in real time. Clips from their earlier work now find second lives as proof-of-concept reels, making the case that the leap from domestic success to global relevance isn't a fantasy. It's unfolding now, under our noses, with 2 faces that audiences have already learned to trust. Still, what tingles most is the sense of possibility. We've seen stars climb before, but rarely with this balance of romance and resolve. The IMDb placement is more than an accolade, it's a passport stamp that lets their team strike smarter, faster, bolder. Negotiations, we're told, are humming alongside their current commitments, with talk of release windows that would align European buzz with American premieres. Streamers are keen. Networks feel the pressure. Film festivals are watching booking grids shift to make room for a Turkish presence that's no longer niche but necessary. If you've ever wondered whether a couple can carry this kind of worldwide momentum together, watch this space. Their fans in Italy, Spain, France, Germany, the Balkans, the Middle East, and Latin America are holding the rope tight, pulling the narrative forward, translating clips, boosting interviews, and never letting the spotlight dim. And every time someone doubts them, the answer arrives the same way, with a performance that turns skepticism into silence. Of course, behind every victory lies a handful of rumors that wind through the soundstage. One story describes a dawn call time after a night of heavy rain, the kind that soaks through shoes and spirits. The pair arrived early anyway, greeting crew by name, passing out warm drinks, and hitting their marks without a single complaint. Another tale insists a guest actor tried to test boundaries and met a wall of poised professionalism, no shouting, no posturing, just a graceful reminder that respect is part of the job. Even the whispers of competitive flare-ups dissolve into admiration when the final cut plays back and everything just works. What happens next? If the secret offers solidify, we might see them in a sweeping cross-continental drama that blends tradition with modern pulse. Or we might get the stealthier choice, a nuanced, stylish thriller where love becomes code and loyalty becomes a battlefield. Either way, the phone calls are real, the curiosity is real, and the timing is impeccable. The arc of this moment promises more than red carpets, it hints at craft taken to its furthest edge. So yes, the entertainment world is buzzing, and not just in Turkey. The industry is talking about Gökberk and Özge with a mix of admiration and urgency. Producers who once spoke cautiously now talk about timelines and testing windows. Publicists are preparing international strategies that hinge on authenticity instead of overexposure. This is the playbook for longevity. Let the work sparkle, let the story breathe, and let the fans guide the wind. And that's where you come in. Do you believe this rise will culminate in a defining global role? Do you see them headlining an epic that floods screens from Rome to Rio, or a sharp, elegant thriller that sets social feeds on fire for weeks? Which kind of project would you choose for their next step, a grand adventure with sunlit vistas and high stakes, or a cat and mouse tale whispered in corridors lined with history? Tell us what your heart says, because your voice has always been part of this journey. Here at Whispers of Turkish Stars, we'll be tracking every tremor in triumph. If you felt the rush of that IMDb milestone, if you saw the pride in every fan-made edit, if you sensed the industry leaning forward to listen, then stay with us. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and keep your eyes on this space. The tide has turned for Gökberk Demirci and Özge Yağız, and the horizon is wide. Today it's a ranking, a rumor, and a roar of applause. Tomorrow it could be a premiere that changes everything. The story is still being written. The lights are up. The cameras are ready. And just beyond the next scene, the world is waiting.